Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick overview on the live letter number 82. This live letter was a lot of stuff we already knew, kind of some last minute reminders, going in game and previewing things again. A couple little tidbits, but if you've been keeping up with most of the news regarding Final Fantasy XIV, regarding Dawntrail, then realistically there was only one major takeaway, and that was the release of the launch trailer, which I'll have my reaction to both the Japanese and English version being released separately from this video. Now, this video is going to have a sponsored ad. I'm going to have to edit this in, so it might take a little bit more to get out to you. But, you know, Magic Spoon, they've supported me for, for like, I think about a year now I've been doing Magic Spoon ads. So I'm going to insert that, like, now on the YouTube, like on the recording side. Everyone on the live stream is like, we're not going to see it. But then we'll come back out of it, and bam, we'll get to talk about the live letter. So editing magic. Before we get into the details though, this video has a sponsor, Magic Spoon. They've been sponsoring the channel for a while now with their wholesome, high quality, high protein cereal, and it's good to have them back again. Now, I've got a new expansion coming out soon for Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm going to need a lot of fuel to get through those long gaming hours. So instead of a traditional snack when I need something quick, I'm going to reach for Magic Spoon. That way, I can get something that'll feed my body properly and avoid getting bogged down with all sorts of chips and stuff. Besides, then you got to deal with the problem, too many chips, not enough dip, so you buy more chips to finish the dip, but now I've got chips left over, so you got to buy more dip. No. I got to worry about that. I'm just going to have my Magic Spoon cereal. So if you'd like to try Magic Spoon while also supporting the channel, then click the link below to get some today. Build your own custom box of cereal and treat bars with tons of available flavors. Best of all, use my link and discount code MrHappy to get $5 off your custom box. And if you don't like it, Magic Spoon has a 100% happiness guarantee. Let them know and they'll refund you, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use code MrHappy to get $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/MrHappy to save $5 on your order. It even works in Canada and the UK. Thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring, and now on to the video. And we're back. Wow, that was incredible. Make sure to use that link. See, Aloha, he's even here. He's talking about it. Isn't that right, buddy? Yeah, here, get some head. Your head is wet, Aloha. Stop dipping your head in the water fountain. You don't, that's why he gets upset. That's why he's yelling. He dips his head in the water fountain. He wants me to dry his head off. So like I said, live letter number 82 didn't really have a whole lot if you've been keeping up with news. The launch trailer was pretty exciting, and I think they did a pretty good job with the launch trailer this time around. Shadowbringer's launch trailer, while full of red herrings, was also still kind of spoilerific. And Endwalker's was, I think this and Endwalker are pretty well the same. You know, there's just a lot of questions, a lot of mystery, a few red herrings here or there that we'll probably be able to make note of once we've actually, you know, gotten through everything. But it was just entertaining. It really focused on kind of the rite of succession, with some of the crazier stuff only kind of featuring towards the later half, and us not really being able to divine a whole lot. I'm already seeing some theories about some characters from the trailer, one of which being that the enigmatic woman that we see. I saw a Twitter post about her potentially being Pashtarat, who is one of the two Asians. We actually don't know the like where they are or what they've been up to, so that I've seen some pretty wild things already coming out of this, and it's only been a couple of hours, but we're not going to dive too deep into that for the time being. After the launch trailer was done, they briefly just, you know, started by introducing themselves, introducing Aime, and they watched the launch trailer again, this time with Japanese commentary. But like I said, we're not going to dive too deep into that because I will have a separate thing for the launch trailer overall. So they started by just refreshing us on the areas we're going to be going to. Tuliolal, of course, being the main city. Urkapacha being one of the areas that we got to see in the media tour. So if you kept up with that, you may have seen it in some of the footage that came out of various creators. We also had, and I'm forgetting how to pronounce it, Kozama Uka, which is, this is the area with the canopies and the great waterfalls and all that stuff. Those, like I said, Kozama Uka and Urkapacha, I got to see at the media tour. Both were beautiful. Love the background music. Love the overworld combat music as well. Very, very exciting stuff. Then we got to see Yak T'el, which has more ancient ruins. Actually, I'm sorry. Yak T'el is the one with the canopies. Urkapacha is just the one with the lakes, the water, and the wide open area with the, again, the giant rock formation in the middle. Yak T'el is the one with the canopies, and we actually got to see a little bit more of Yak T'el a little bit later in the actual broadcast. Then very briefly, we got to see Shaloani, which is our more Wild Wild West looking area, probably more than northern Tural, as we know we'll be going up to. And then that leads into some of the stuff they couldn't talk too much about. Heritage found, of course, which we're all calling the Thunder Plains, given the way that it looks. But if you pay attention to stuff from the launch trailer and you pay attention to some of the images we've actually seen from Heritage found, it allows you to put some pieces together, or at least come up with some more reasonably contextual thoughts about what's actually going on here, what this area actually is. The biggest thing being that this lightning field is largely being produced by the dome, and it's something that from Shalawani they go over to, and that makes me think it has something to do with the calamity of lightning, and I think I've seen that theory go around a little bit as well. We also have an area that I saw a few people call this area a few different things. I immediately said it was Alexandria. And I think I'm a little influenced because of, you know, the Final Fantasy IX-esque stuff. But like, I looked at it and that was my first thought, was Alexandria. So maybe that's just me. I've seen people call it like Fable and a few other things, but that worked. That was what came to mind. And then Solution 9, which we've already seen a little bit of. We've seen it in even artwork that they posted on like Instagram and stuff. It's got cars, motorcycles. It's got apparently a very strong military based on the launch trailer. Very curious to see how we will make peace with everything in Solution 9, because it looks like peace isn't their first prerogative, or at least not everyone here's first prerogative. After that, they went over brief descriptions of each of the characters. Again, a lot of these characters, you know, like this is just a brief, I know I'm covering some of the text, a brief description of Wuk-Lamat, which, you know, we already met her and she already described what her goals are. Aaronville, who, you know, is going to be our guide over there, and he's going to be continuing to join our adventures. We, of course, have Kryl, who's got those live stream pop-ups. We've got Kryl, who just wants to fight with her Pictomancy skills, is all it really says. And, of course, learn the truth about Galuf. Thancred, who's a bit of a jerk in the first dungeon, in case you didn't know, if you haven't seen all the footage from that. But, yeah, he's going to be working with one of the other siblings. Kawana, I believe, is his sibling, if memory serves correctly. Urian J, who's of course working alongside Thancred. Then we have Galul Jaja, who Final Fantasy XI players know. He is both the Dawn Servant, the Vow of Resolve, and the Vow of Reason, depending on which head you're talking about. Interesting thing, and I remember this being a question some time ago. They confirmed that not only are both heads voiced, which I expected because I know both heads from Final Fantasy XI both have different personalities, and they reaffirmed that that will be the case here, but they both have different voice actors, which I thought was a very good touch. And I remember that being a question back when people were wondering about these kind of same features, even in like the first FanFest reveal where we first saw Galul Jaja. So yeah, all the two-headed Mamul Jah that are voiced apparently do have two different voice actors, which is just a nice little detail. I'm very curious to see how that pans out in cutscenes. We have Zoral Jah, one of the other children under Galul Jaja, who's going to be fighting for the throne, and one of the most dangerous of the batch, it seems. We have Kawana, who believes that technology will lead Tuliolal and all of Tural into a better and brighter future. So that's the future that he's fighting for in the Rite of Succession. We have Bakul Jaja, who's also an enormous jerk, who we see a decent bit in the launch trailer, and he's only here because he successfully triumphed in a martial tournament. He is not one of the siblings. He is just another person fighting for the throne, and he has a major superiority complex. He's racist against anyone with a single head, apparently. Even his fellow mammal Jadstas, all one heads are inferior to him. So, are inferior to his type. So he just firmly believes that only two heads should be in charge of anything. So, and given he is largely focused on his martial prowess, he probably is looking more towards like a war-torn Tuliolal. We know they're trying to avoid the armies of Tuliolal and Tural invading the rest of the world, or trying to take over more areas outside of that. And so really hoping for, you know, the peaceful outcome, but it doesn't look like Bakul Jaja is going to be hoping. This is the enigmatic maiden. Now, the big reason why the whole Pashtarat thing is coming up with her is because Yoshi P recently made mention that we should keep in mind all the members of the Convocation and their names, and that would be useful going into Dawntrail. I saw people taking her like scepter or like piece of her garment right here, this accessory, and flipping it over and showing that it's very similar to Pashtarat's actual Ascian symbol. And I'm like, nah, dude, that's copium. But you never know. The odds of Yoshi P making a mention of a member of the Convocation and saying that we should know that going into Dawntrail. I figured, personally, that it's just because we're going to see how the Convocation actually affects things in other regions. We're going to see more of the reach of their prowess and their influence over time, whereas we've only seen it kind of centralized to like Aldenard and Authard. And I that was what I was thinking. So I'm not buying into that entirely, but I'm just relaying to you some of the talk that's going around about this enigmatic maiden. They also take some time to reaffirm. We will have role quests for the existing roles, similar to Endwalker. There's 5 of them: Fizz ranged, Magic ranged, Melee, Physical, Tank, and Healer. And we will have job quests for Pictomancer. We will have job quests for Viper. We will have crafting quests, which have a hilarious name that comes later on. We also got to see some of the other gear, this more Mad Max-esque looking gear, really nice looking sword. And apparently this gear is mid-level crafted. Now what that means is that it's not level 100. It's like there's usually a crafted set at like level 92, 94, 96. And this is normally stuff that can be purchased from vendors as well. And so that set should be something that's pretty easily obtainable. They just showed it for all of the different roles. You know, you can see Reaper, you can see Machinist right here. Getting the Mad Max gear on. Getting, of course, the scouting set right here. That's Ninja. And then the healer set, which is, you know, that's something else. Let me tell you, that's certainly a healer set. Everyone immediately was like, oh no, the nightclub scene. The nightclub scene is going to get way too much fun out of these sets. To which I agree. Yeah, so new role quests. Yeah, 5 quest lines. These ones start at level 92. In Dawntrail, we don't know if it's going to be 92, 94, 96. That's what I assume, or maybe 92, 95, 98, 100, or something in that vein. All they said is that they start at level 92. And in patch 7.1 or later, it says, we will get the meta quests, where if you've done all the role quests, there's kind of a combined role quest at the end of it all. You're just going to be waiting a while. Then, of course, you have the Viper quests here. You know, just they mostly took this time to talk about the grass and the textures and everything, and not the Viper quests themselves. Pictomancer, same deal. Apparently, it's going to be dealing with Moogles quite a bit, so hopefully you're looking forward to that. That explains why we paint a Moogle, I suppose. But yeah, these are going to take place from levels 80 to 90. And if it's like all the other job quests, your capstone event quest, your level 90 quest for Viper and Pictomancer should be unlocking new skills. If that's Viper, that would be Reawaken. So that's going to be a pretty important one, might I say. Then we have the new Disciple of Hand or Land quest, which are called that. Wachumeki Meki is how it's pronounced. They were making a joke about Macho Maki Maki, which is apparently Maki Maki is like it's like a sound effect that's associated with like flexing, bulging muscles. So the entire time I was just like Macho Maki Maki, Macho Maki Maki. And, I'm waiting for a better clip of that where I actually fully roll my sleeves up to somehow hit my Twitch account so I can go share that on social media and everyone can enjoy that. But yeah, these are essentially the same as the Crystalline Mean. These are the same as the Endwalker, the Studium quests. And it's just, you know, crafter and gather quest lines throughout the expansion, largely focused on Tyrol and the earlier areas and kind of staying away from what they describe of the Solution 9 related stuff. And then there will be a meta quest for those as well in 7.1 or later. They briefly showed off some dungeon screenshots. This is the dungeon from Media Tour. This is probably the level 93 dungeon, and I'd imagine this leads to Valagarmanda, who we will see in a little bit. We do also get a quick screenshot of the inside of the mountain, which they have shown us this screenshot and artwork of this area before. And then finally, of one of the Solution 9 dungeons we see right here. You know, oh, well, you look at that. Look, it's Final Fantasy XIV. It's also Final Fantasy XIV. These are the same game, as Foxclon said. So yeah, one of the other more futuristic dungeons here as well. So just a few screenshots of everything. Next, I think they went into game to briefly showcase Valagarmanda, who is enormous. And in the launch trailer, it does have a handful of different appearances. Now, the hitbox is still pretty large here, but not 100% uptime, as you can see. There is like an actual back of the room that needs to be considered. But based on the... I have to look at the launch trailer again. I'm almost certain that in the launch trailer, there's a part where the arena is actually a good bit bigger than this. It might just be the perspective that they show. But Valagarmanda already giving me kind of Midgard-Stormer vibes. So they do briefly show him fight Valagarmanda here for a second. And we can see that... The big thing that Valagramanda does is it either like circles around the arena, and that means there's a donut AoE in the center, or it does a charge attack, and that's a point blank AoE. We also see the warning symbol in the middle of the screen. You saw right there, so you can see it again here when he actually goes to do the donut AoE. People were like, is that new? And while the answer is yes, it's basically replacing... You ever done a fight in 14 and there's text on the screen to tell you that something important is happening? For me, one of the best examples is chimeras. Like when you're fighting a chimera, like the Dorme Chimera or something like that. It'll be like, oh, the ram's eyes glow blue. And that's to tell you that the ram is enhanced on the chimera. It's essentially the same as that, just basically giving you a better heads up on any sort of text-based indicator that we already had. They're just more in your face. Now, they didn't mention about being able to turn it off or move it, so there's still a bit of a question about that. So we'll see if all those options exist. I didn't see it on the media tour personally, but I didn't really look at the same time. So we'll see. If not, there'll probably be feedback about it. They'll probably make adjustments to it, etc., etc. Then they showed the English launch trailer, which is playing right now, and the Primal's 10th anniversary album, which just has a ton of their different songs. Before going into a short break, it was about 15 minutes, I believe, total. So not anything too long, but that was about the halfway point. Then we got a brief peek into the Arcadian, which, in case you haven't been keeping up with the website, is essentially a tournament inside of Solution 9. And we actually get to see a little bit of the first boss. Now, there is some exciting news about this. Number one, it's voiced. The bosses, the fight is voiced. I should say that I doubt the quest is voiced, but the fights, even right from the get-go, are voiced because the first boss is our kind of preliminary opponent in that of Black Cat. You can see that cat in the distance. Their name is Black Cat. They speak to you when they're pulled. And on top of that, we actually hear the announcer of the tournament actually doing some commentary in the background as well. So you can see the crowds and the stands out there. Now, on top of that, other notes. 1, 16 spots on the arena means there's going to be a mechanic that focuses largely on that. 2, the boss's hitbox size is incredibly small, though they do still center into the arena for certain mechanics. And C, it looks like it would be pretty dangerous if you fell off. So while it looks like there's... Now, I wonder if Black Cat is going to use the... There's like laser like ropes. I wonder if they're going to use them like a WWE match to like spring across, waiting for them to hit us with the people's elbow or something like that. So yeah, on this pole, they do actually speak and they do actually attack. You can see the nails extending. Now, one thing that isn't changing about Dawntrail, auto raid wide. Some things change and some things just stay the same. And auto raid wide looks like it's staying the same. And then, you know, half room cleaves and line AoEs and all sorts of little stuff. There's not really a whole lot to derive. We're looking at the normal mode here, which, by the way, they apparently wanted to keep it secret what the first tier of the Arcadian was called. But it actually says it in the top right. And somebody told me that it says it is the light heavyweight round or the lightweight round. Essentially, we're in the first part of the tournament and we're competing in like the lightweight category. So people are wondering what they're actually going to call this tier. Well, while you could go with something like Arc 1 through 12, since it's a tournament and since they seem to be going with lightweight, heavyweight, you know, whatever else they're going to call the other ones, we could essentially call them round 1 through 12. We could go with R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I wonder if the English translation, yeah, because it's like light heavyweight round 1. Is what it says in the top right there. So I wonder if it's going to be round 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's going to be like in English, it'll be preliminary, quarterfinal, semifinal, final, whatever. The whole point is that it is a tournament in that sense. So we are competing through the light heavyweight round when we first go into the Arcadian itself. Yeah, they were like, oh, we're here to keep it a secret. We just showed it on screen. And if you were wondering about the schedule, I've been telling people it's going to be exactly the same. Some people have been telling me it won't be exactly the same, even though they told us it would be exactly the same before this. Yes, normal mode is 2 weeks after expansion launch. Savage is 2 weeks after that, so 4 weeks. And they further confirm this by later on showing a schedule of normal mode being July 16th, Savage being July 30th. It is exactly the same as every other expansion launch has been before it. And that means weekly capped tomes will be on the 30th of July. I think I said July the first time, right? I might have said June. July 16th and July 30th, just in case. July 30th will be when crafted gear is added. July 30th will be when your capped tombstones are added. It will also be when the new treasure dungeon is added, when Savage is added. All that will be July 30th, as it has always been. I know some people are like, oh, with 0.2, 0.4, they changed. No, that was just to separate normal and Savage in those patches. They never cared about changing this. They never cared about the crafted and tome stuff. That never mattered. It was always about just separating normal and Savage. We also have the treasure dungeon, Cenote Jaja Garal. Because it's a treasure dungeon and it's all about making money, I'm just going to call it the C-Note dungeon and call it a day. But, you know, if you're not into Savage, you could do this, the treasure map dungeon, when July 30th rolls around, try to make some dosh, you know. Oh, and then crafting and gathering adjustments. You're never going to believe this. There's new actions and traits. There's new gathering points and recipes. There's new folklore and master books. And there's orange scripts for both of them. Yep. You're probably so surprised right now. Now, the other thing for gathering is that they actually did get a quality of life update. You can actually see the integrity of the node in the harvesting menu now, which is nice. You know, it's just nice to have it all condensed into one menu. So that works for me. Oh, and the fishing guide will also show you the type of hook required for a catch. They did also confirm there will be more big fish in Dawntrail, which I think they confirmed previously, but they reconfirmed it here. And then, yeah, crafters, new master recipes, orange crafter scripts, all that stuff. Yeah. System adjustments, new tombstones, of course, you know, elegant tombstones of aesthetics, and heliometry, which will release. The heliometry is our weekly capped one. Those will release the same day as Savage. They did show us some of the heliometry gear. That is the warrior heliometry gear and axe. I really like the hammer axe looking thing. We have the sickle for Reaper here, along with their heliometry gear. We have the bard bow, not crazy about it, and the heliometry gear itself is fine. Again, not wild about it either. It's very vanilla, very basic. And then we have the healer stuff here. Nice looking globe, and then, of course, the healer heliometry stuff. And then the caster heliometry stuff with the caster heliometry weapon. That is the tombstone weapon, which if you're doing normal mode, it'll take you, 7 of the swords in order to get. Or if you're doing Savage, you can get it from collecting the tomes and then beating the second fight and getting the tombstone from that instead of from 7 weeks of getting the swords from the normal mode. Then we get to see, now they say we don't want to tell you where this gear is from. It's from the Arcadian. Come on now. That's looking like Dark Knight, I assume. Really cool looking sword, and I assume that is the tank armor. Everyone's like, Squid Games? Because we actually see this armor coming out of Solution 9 from the launch trailer, so one of those kind of obvious situations. Then we also have Dragoon here. And you can see the ears. They even zoom in on the ears eventually, but it looks like if you are a Viera, your ears will poke out of the armor. See, they zoomed in about a minute later. And then we have the ninja gear, which, those sneakers are made for speed right there. And, actually the daggers look really cool there. They have those mean mugging shades on with the face mask underneath. We have the Black Mage set, which is interesting looking. I'm not wild about the mask, but everything else looks pretty good. The staff definitely doesn't read to me as a Black Mage staff, but he said it was Black Mage, so I'm just gonna have to take that for what it is. And that was the last of those armor sets that they showed between heliometry and the Arcadian. Bicolor gemstones getting buffed up to 1,500 total. We actually saw this in the media tour if you've kept up with the coverage that everybody had of it, but still staying bicolor gemstones. Just worth noting, you can cap them and still earn more after the expansion comes out, before the expansion comes out. No mention of changing the currency for the hunt. I'm going to assume they're just staying as nuts, which is what I assumed they were going to do anyway, because there was no pattern set that they had to change it at this point. We also saw this option from the media tour. It's an option to hide nearby players when close to an NPC or object with a quest icon. So you can see, what it looks like normally in the bottom left, what it looks like when near quest NPCs. So you can see Alice say there has cleared a few people out. And I actually need to move myself right here for you to see the third option, which is when you're talking to the NPCs, it clears out an even wider area to make sure you can see any of the little interactions between the quest NPC and the nearby characters that they might be traveling with. But if you're someone who has struggled with seeing NPCs, you should be using the insert button, which allows you to completely bypass this. There is also another option that you can use that fixes this. Now, it doesn't clear the space out, but it at least makes you able to select the target. But if you're also someone who's just tired of not being able to see NPCs express themselves in these little micro expressions they do during quest lines, then this will be an option for you to turn on, and with different settings at that, depending on what thing actually matters most to you. They do also briefly show it here a little bit later on in video format. So let me speed ahead real quick. Here we go. So this is what it looks like when you approach. Let's just take a step back and actually watch it from the beginning. So this is what it looks like when you're at a little bit of a distance. As you close in, they all disappear. And then once you interact, more of them disappear, right like that. So that way it clears out the entire space so you can see everything. So if that's an option, if either of those options look like they're of interest to you, go right ahead and use them. They're there for you to use at your leisure. It'd be funny if it just logged out all those players. Like, hey, I know how we'll get rid of them. Log them all out. That would be mad, dude. Now I'm worried that's actually going to be a bug. They're adding emotes and recipes for delivery items added into the duty list. So you can now just straight up click it from there. Thank goodness. Even Yoshida himself said, this is 11 years late. Almost 11 years late. It has been requested literally since the beginning of the game being out, and it just happened now. Waited too long, but at the very least, now it's there. Not that I really minded as a keyboard and mouse player doing it before, or if I have a keyboard at all, just quickly typing out /T or even /CHE tab and then just pressing enter. If there's any controller-only players out there, it'll be a little easier for them at the very least. And I mean really controller-only, like haven't bought the keyboard yet, somehow struggling through to get through the communication on that front. But long overdue, we can all agree on that. The dying system, they briefly showed this. Again, if you've been keeping up with Media Tour coverage, you've probably seen this. I wanted to show this from the Media Tour coverage, but there was a bunch of Japanese text, and we were not supposed to display anything that had Japanese text. So I didn't make the video because I didn't feel like editing around the Japanese text. And on top of that, an option to set favored dies and an option to remember previous dies, which will make dyeing multiple pieces in sequence much, much easier. They do, of course, go into the game and show that off. You can see the two color palettes at the... Well, you can see the two different saved palettes at the top. So you can choose. Those are the two different ones you can save. So you can see he's editing the first one right now, and he's changing that color, and then he goes back up to the second one, and now he can change the other part of it. So those are the two different dye channels. And then you have two different options. You have one where you can save, which is the top section, the one with the two different, the two crosses through it. This one right here. This allows you to save whatever you've done, and this remembers the one that you just applied. You can also press this button to quickly invert whatever your options are, and this, of course, is undo and redo. So a much more expansive dye menu, which, of course, they go through, and he briefly presses the invert button a few times, as you can see right there. Just inverts it a handful of times. We'll go back once more so you can see him use it again. Bam, see, that's the undo, that's the save, and that is the invert. So you can see, nope, go back, press it. There you go. Inverts the color scheme between the two channels before you actually go through to save. And then, yeah, he goes through a few different options just to, again, showcase the same things. The big one, however, is the previously remembered one, which you'll be able to see here in a second. See, he's got all his dyes on him. It's remembering. He dyes himself. That's cool. Works the same. Two different dye channels. Excellent. When he goes back into the menu, it remembers that. So now if he wants to dye the other pieces in his set, the same exact color scheme, he goes to his pants. And now he can edit them separately, and he could do the same thing, all the inverts. And then if he wants to save this for later, he could save it to the favorite slot. So a ton of different options here to make things a whole lot easier, a whole lot more fluid, and a whole lot more, well, better, I suppose. More better, my favorite English. And then they showed off Facewear. Now, Facewear is a new fashion accessory style thing, but it's not really programmed as a fashion accessory, at least not quite the same. Right now, your fashion accessories will stay out if you are doing overworld combat. But if you try to go into an instance, they'll go away. The Facewear is a little bit different in that it's essentially just kind of saved to your gear sets and works like a normal piece of equipment does. But it doesn't actually use the armory chest at all. You still save the items as a fashion accessory in its own fashion accessory menu, And then you're also given a total of 12 different color options that don't require dye. So you can see all the different color options down here. Those do not need to be dyed. Those do not need to be collected. You collect the Facewear, you add it to the face accessories menu, like you would add something to the fashion accessory menu, and then bam, you can just equip it onto the slot. Will it break your portrait? Probably, but it's still, you know, it's a smarter design system than what we currently have. And it actually paves the way for other fashion accessories of the same kind. Because if this isn't using armory chest space, which it certainly isn't because it has to use a completely different system to register as a face accessory, then that could mean more accessorizing without using gear or inventory slots, which is better on the game's memory and allows them to kind of mess with the character and the customization in more interesting ways. Whether or not they will, who knows? But it's interesting to think about from a back-end perspective in terms of availability for options for the player. And look, you can have a hat with glasses. Now, keep in mind, you cannot take existing glasses that are headwear. Like if you put it on, it's level 28, it's got like 4 vitality or whatever. Those are not going into this face accessory slot. These are completely different pieces. And yes, if you have a headpiece that completely covers your face, you will not see the fashion accessory, because how would you? So bear that in mind as well. So with that all explained, they then moved on to showcasing some minions, mounts, a little bit of Yak T'el. They show off some of the umbrellas. We've got these luminescent effects. They do briefly make it night here in a second. Look, you've got the emote twirling around, having fun. Bam, it's nighttime. And it's even translucent. You can see through it a little bit, which is a nice little effect that is made much more apparent with the graphics update. You can see the light reflection changing as he spins the camera, and you look at it from different angles as well. So it's a really, really, really nice looking effect. We also see this darker umbrella, the more goth umbrella, as I like to call it. And then we get this parasol looking one, this Kugane parasol looking umbrella as well. And then we take a brief look at the minions. We have the corn minion, which really pops in with the new colors that we have. So you can see that. They showed this on social media the other day too. Excellent looking corn. We get a chupacabra with, which I think is adorable. I love this chupacabra. He is my friend. I appreciate him. Don't call him ugly. You're wrong. I mean, look into his eyes right here. See? Look into his big, gorgeous, glowing, slimy looking eyes. Speaking of big, gorgeous eyes, we got a few cats. Look, see? Cat minion. Looks up. It's so cute. Look at the cat. It's beautiful. And that's not even the only cat. Look, we have other cat. We have more cat. We love cat. Staring directly at you. Look at the updated fur and everything on it as well. It's just, it's so glad to be here. Little cat's so glad to be here. And then we have a baby mammal jaw, which is hilarious. Better not be a real baby. If not, we're going to be accused of kidnapping. We have, of course, the swole tender, who does do a little flex. Come on, do the flex. Do the flex. Do the flex. Do the flex. Flex for me. Flex. Flex. Don't look at me. Flex. Stop looking at me and flex. 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 I don't know when it happens, but it happens. No. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Do it. Do it. Flex. Hit him with the pec flex. I know you do it. Okay, I must have skipped over it. No, we're going back. We're looking at him do the flex. You're doing the flex. I know you do the flex. Do it here. There it is. Look, he even grows a little flower on his top. There we go. I just need to see that real quick. All right. We have, so it's funny. People are calling this a baby alpaca. I feel like that's not a baby alpaca. That is a full-sized alpaca that was shrunk. Because it just looks like a full-sized alpaca that was shrunk. That's it. I don't know. It just, I refuse to call it a baby. It's a very, very small adult alpaca to me. Now, we did get to see some of the mounts as well. And interestingly enough, we found out what the Trial Series mount is. It is a pair of wings. So every Extreme Trials mount will be this, but different styles of wings with different takeoff animation looks and stuff like that. But that is our Trial Series mount for this expansion. It has been hard confirmed. And when Yoshi P takes off, it becomes, it almost begins to look like Phoenix or Suzaku You can see here in a second. See it like grows wings when he takes off. Come on. Fly. 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 There we go. See? It sprouts a couple extra small wings. It sprouts the pinions at the back. And then you just hover around. So yeah, those that's going to be your mount series for 7.x is going to be wings. We do get to see some other mounts as well. We get an Emolga. And yes, I know. No, it's a flying squirrel. It's a Pikachu colored flying squirrel. And I love this mount because look at the tilting. Look, with the new flying mechanic, look at the tilt. It looks so good. I love this thing. I love the super glider mount. And then look, he's flying, but there's an ether current. That's hacks. So he goes and collects it, gets back on the... Now, I saw the Oppressor, and I didn't expect to see that. For those who don't remember, this is the boss from A1, from the very first fight in Gordius after you beat Faust. If I had to guess, PvP. It just seems like the most logical place to put this, given Rival Wings has this playable. I don't know. That's just where I expect to get it. I expect to get it from PvP. They did not say that, but I expect to get it from PvP. Or the cash shop. One of the two. Who knows? We also have this gold-looking, like, Aztec bird. This is almost certainly from the treasure dungeon. We've had other mounts like the Burning Ixion before, so that's where I expect this one to come from. Some people were saying they think it's the Gil mount, like the 50 million Gil mount. All of the Gil mounts have an effect where they basically spew Gil when they fly and when they move, and this doesn't have that. So this is almost certainly going to be from the Cenote Jaja dungeon. Then we have an alpaca, which of course we have an alpaca. Why wouldn't we have an alpaca? I'm gonna alpaca my paca right here. There you go. It's got an alpaca. It's a small alpaca. You got a big alpaca. You got alpaca here, alpaca there. You'll paca anywhere. All right. So no surprises there. And then they fly off and just briefly show off a bit of Yak T'el. They show one big thing they show is kind of the change in effect when you go from above the canopy into the canopy. You see how it just kind of instantly gets dark. And you can see some of the creatures and hear them making noises and stuff. But then he goes back over to this rock outcrop and he gradually rises above, and you can see the lighting change and the textures begin to reflect the lighting coming up from this new area, just showcasing kind of the new technology and how it allows them to bring zones to life instead of them needing to do something like, for example, like with swimming where they dive underwater. Instead here, it's all just one zone. It's all loaded. And with the new systems, they can make those differences between the bottom and top of a canopy. And it's something they're more easily able to do. So, and the rock detail is looking very, very nice. And that's kind of where they wrap up in terms of, I guess, important news. Reminder of the Fantasia update, in case there was any confusion with the Fantasia update from before. It is 60 minutes of in-game playtime where you're able to make the adjustment. So if you are only logged into the game for a minute after making your adjustments and then you log out of the game, then you'll stay at 59 minutes remaining. So there was some confusion about that last time, even though they did say in-game minutes before. In case anyone didn't remember, then, you know, that's what this is there for now. Then we have the companion app is getting some new main menu and wallpaper settings, and you can send out your retainer ventures. You can assign them, I should say, from the companion app. It does, of course, cost coupon nuts or mod coins like any other feature does, like it did with the market board. But hey, if you're someone like me who really doesn't want to actually stay logged in and keep on top of these, doesn't even want to do the once every 18 hours, this probably help you out with that a little bit. So moving on, they then got to see, this is a new medium style house. And it even has a little tree house in the back that looks pretty nice. There's also a large style version of this one that they showcased. I think this is the small right here. Yeah, I think that was the medium. This is the small. And then we do get to see the tree house at the top of the large one, which is right here. So just another housing style with a very, very cool looking tree house in the back. All right. And then at this point, they then clarified the schedule. Early access June 28th, launch July 2nd. If you have early access, it's literally no different than the official launch. It is everything that is available on 7.2 is available on 6.28. And then we have the Arcadian normal mode on the 16th, the Arcadian Savage, Cenote Jaja Goral Tomestones of Heliometry, and Master Recipes and Crafted Gear on the 30th of July. Exactly as we expected. Even though there was some talk about them changing it, even though they had told us before that it was going to be the same. This isn't the first time they've told us that even. Uniqlo is getting its new collaboration stuff. It's getting a Final Fantasy XIV collaboration. There's also going to be Final Fantasy 16 and Pixel Remaster shirts. They try to show off. Bro, it's like the Dawntrail login screen. You can't even see that with the lighting. Look at it. Like, what am I mean, I know what it's supposed to look like, but like, what? I have no idea what I just look. I mean, I know, but like, it's not the greatest lighting to showcase that shirt. And then you have the Fat Cat Moogle and Alpha in the little pocket shirt. They have a large and a medium on respectively. They take some time to show that off. They're doing a collaboration with a bubble tea company called Gongcha. Now, I didn't know this existed, but this is a global collaboration. You buy 3 drinks and you get the Porksy King mount. I don't have one of these anywhere near me, so sucks for me, I guess. But if you do happen to live near one or know someone that lives near one in North America, Europe, or Oceania, then go ahead and get it. Get yourself what's probably like 500 grams of sugar, but it's delicious, and a mount. And then there's, in Japan only, an internal SSD with a collaborative storage box. So that is an SSD box. And I'm not going to lie, don't even care about the SSD. Box looks good. It's a good looking box. See, and then the inside's got the other Scions in there. Did you look at that? Looking good. It's great. Yep. And then we've got the dolls that have been behind Yoshi P the entire time. So they've done an Ishtola doll before. And now they're doing Alphino and Alice, and equally as nightmare-inducing. Equally as frightening. Let me get that off your screen for you. All right. Let me just remove that. The Secret Lab chair, which don't forget, I do have a link for. I'll put it in the YouTube video. It's currently available as a link on Twitch, and it's in the description of the video on the YouTube stream, but I'll also add that to the YouTube video. Oh, no, I got Magic Spoon in this video. Go find it on my Twitch channel, or look at my Twitter. There you go. But I have an affiliate link for this. Not sponsored, but product provided. See, I've got my little DPS magnet right here. There you go. All good. But yeah, they spend the next few minutes just showcasing that. They're in the QVC section at this point. And then also the Tabletop RPG Starter Set is available for pre-order. You can play for up to 96 hours for free leading up to Thursday, June 20th. So you've got 6 days out of those 4 days remaining to make use of it. And game is 60% off. Endwalker Edition. Well, yeah. So what is it? It's the Complete Edition and the Endwalker Edition specifically are 60% off. And yeah, it's just all the different regions. NAEU has Xbox Series X and S, and JP has all the other ones. So yeah, you've got all these discounts here, all the details. This was already on the Lodestone before. There's going to be a pop-up store in Paris for Final Fantasy XIV on June 21st through June 23rd. So if you're in Paris, enjoy that. They're going to Japan Expo later this year. They're going to Gamescom later this year. They're going to PAX Australia in October. They're maybe going to something else that weekend. He's going back to Japan. He's going to be in and out and back and forth from all these different locations the entire time. So have fun doing all that traveling, Yoshi P. And they're going to do a 7.0 patch note reading. That is going to be on the 27th at 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. Eastern. And that's the day before, so the servers are going to be down for maintenance that day, but it is going to be Japanese audio only. They are also going to be bringing on a guest. They're going to be bringing on Kryles, Japanese voice actress Yoshino Nanjo. So if you ever tune in for those, then please look forward to it. And that was the end of the 82nd letter from the producer live. He just reaffirms here that they are on schedule. There will be no delay for the expansion like they did with Endwalker. No delay. The 28th, we're doing it. It's good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus, and you're all good to go. So that is going to be it for my overview for the 82nd letter from the producer live. Be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for all of the latest Dawntrail news. We're only 2 weeks out from early access. Anything we learn between now and then, and on top of that, all the content I'll be producing during early access, extreme kills, guides, thoughts, all that stuff. It's going to be a busy month. So please look forward to it. Thanks for watching, though, and I will see all of you in the next one. Until then, take care.